Welcome to my final assignment for social and cultural implications of new media. My name is Jordan Krasinski, and today we're going to be talking about critical making and what makes it a useful concept. Matt Ratto is an associate professor in the Faculty of Information at the University of Toronto and directs inclusive design, mobile, and pervasive computing, and the Critical Making Lab. His work explores the intersections between digital technologies and the human life world, with a particular focus on the divide between online and offline modes of production. His work crosses both of these boundaries between the digital and physical world while also including humanities and engineering disciplines. He coined the term critical making in 2007 to describe work that combines humanities insights and engineering practices and has published extensively on this concept. Critical making is intended to merge together value-sensitive design with technical practice. By introducing brainstorming, storyboarding, prototyping, and connecting it with values and human beliefs, you can serve audiences and even the world in a much more practical sense. I think what I enjoy most about this concept is that it's a counter-response to the making that you get from industry and using a more human-centered design to gain a different way of seeing the world, creating conversation, and fostering open collaboration. I can see critical making as something that creates a new type of consumer. Rather than the maker being a distant idea, the consumer will understand how something was created, the detail and moral intent that comes with it. Even though critical making isn't necessarily about the finished product, I think or I hope that it tightens the gap between the doer and the consumer because of the new understanding of how it facilitates human connections. There's many different possible futures when we think about technology. I think more commonly we envision the future of technology as something very industrial, exclusive, and almost disengaged from society. But with critical making, personal values and perspectives are taken as the starting point, and ultimately through the process of open design and creativity, they can physically and technologically manifest. Society's socio-relations with technology is limited, and Ratto would suggest that it's because of this limitation there's now a reductive notion of technology, that it's only logical and about production, whereas now these relationships are much more varied and more people are engaging with these technologies that ultimately change our relationship with people, communities, and the world. A major part about critical making is the community that sits behind it. It's about taking basic hardware and technology and allowing these pieces to be accessible to a general audience. They are the ones that bring these mechanics to life. Although critical making is about creating something yourself, it does differ from do-it-yourself because it's not about crafting something for display or making a product to be sold. It's about the shared experience and the process constructing these objects. Whereas with craftsmanship, we tend to think more of the finished product and how to make it look better. We don't necessarily think about the process of how the finished item was completed and what lessons were learned because of these processes. There's a lot of power that comes with critical making. It's about having an idea, talking about it with people, dissecting it, and figuring out the right pieces in order to make it happen. It's about knowing and understanding a piece of technology, taking it apart, putting it back together, and remaking something new. I know I sound pretty pessimistic when I say this, but I myself am more of a technological determinist, assuming that society's technology determines the development of its social structure and cultural values, how technology has impact on human actions and thought. However, critical making takes the form of social constructivism heads-on, where knowledge expands according to where human development is socially situated, in addition to how knowledge is constructed through the interaction with others. I find this really refreshing in that critical making injects human morale into technology and brings validity to the fact that human action and thought has positive influence on these modern developments. Rather than having an idea and jotting it down in a book or just letting the idea go, it's about making those steps to doing the research, getting the parts, and making it happen yourself. By understanding how it works and how to put the technology together, then the dynamic can shift so you don't see it as something as so dominating. You can have a working relationship with technology and begin to see that it actually manifested from your own doing, rather than just being a distant consumer, unable to understand that these developments actually have an origin and a starting place of creation. To wrap up the video portion of this assignment, I'm concluding that critical making's holistic approach is a very useful concept to understanding our relationship with technology and how we can make it better by taking a more hands-on humanist approach. I think it would be a great personal venture to actually build my own tech gadget, knowing full well I have little knowledge on hardware, but accepting the communal process and attempt to transcend my understanding of technology as a more cultural and personal contribution. Now that we have a solid understanding of what is critical making, stick with me for the essay portion of this assignment as I compare critical making with other modes of creation, explore the spaces where this concept could further develop, along with contrasting Bruno Latour's understanding of our relationship with technology. Thanks for listening.